depending on that, we decide.
Three essential skills for students of the future. I think learning an ability to remain authentic to your own disposition and your own needs and requirements as a person, I think, is probably a great skill to learn, which I think you continue learning throughout your career, not just within the beginning of your career. I think in some way there's an element of knowing yourself within that authenticity, but there's also an element of being aware of the environment and making adaptations to your own skill set as your environment may require that of you. The adaptability in itself is not necessarily the best skill if it's not coupled by authenticity to how you want to be as an individual and what role you want to play within society. There's two skills, that's good enough.
Critical thinking.
Social, personal skills. Empathy.
First of all, creativity. Critical thinking and maybe innovation aspects in design thinking, something like that.
Well, intercultural competences, creativity, and critical thinking.
Prepared for changes, prepared for communication in different languages, with different cultures, and prepared to think critically, because they, I think, will meet different information, and they would compare if it's true or not.
Три компетенции самые важные для будущих студентов.
Ну, студенты бывают разные направления подготовки тоже.
Students have different studies to be mastering, to master.
Я бы так сказала: интеллект, креатив и ответственность.
I would say responsibility, intellectual activity, intellectual creativity, and creativity.
Остальное студенты наберут по жизни.
Other things they could acquire during their life path.
To learn new skills, ability to work with others, regardless background, adaptability, I would say. 3, right?
Yeah.
Vou falar pra gente, fala pra ela, tá bom? Talvez mais esforço, foco, usar a tecnologia para evoluir seus conhecimentos e a prática de atividades e estudos.
She think they need the focus, the technology of on your side for the future and evolution.
Three skills. Yes, I think this is behavioral skills. First, the skills of the discussing. Yes, working in group, because it's really difficult nowadays in our universities. And the third what? Yes, and I think that the art of presentation, to prepare a good business presentation, yes, and to present it. So I think that's all.
Some things can be like giving them some work to in the high school levels, give them sometimes freedom to go study on their own while being assessed on those things that they have to do on their own.
Independence,
motivation and innovation.
I think for future workplace, considering the turbulence of the world, I think one thing is compassion and ability to adapt to whatever change, embrace uncertainty, and we lose their identity.
Resilience. Empathy. Communication.
I think smart looking after information, smart way, and by then creative. And I think that the creativity to be the way they found to be creative, not only drawing or art or something, but creativity by thinking to express themselves in creativity way to community, to make discussion with creativity way.
I think in the current job market, students are so worried about messing up that it keeps them from taking risks.
Observation, I think, is one thing that we find is universally important.
Critical analysis. I think they're willing to observe, but maybe not analyze.
It always had, right, citizenship skills have always been in the curriculum for the past 50 years, but now with the increase and rise of technology usage, which we love, right, we want to integrate technology because it increases collaboration and creativity, but we've gone a little bit out of balance, I believe, right? So integrating social emotional, we're making sure that kids know how to, and adults behave appropriately online, right? So by having empathy, perhaps they won't say mean things online or bully or things like that. So I think that's one piece. The second piece is balance for ourselves, our own health. We go to bed with this in our hand, we wake up with it, and it's not good physically or emotionally to not be detached sometimes. And so using some of these exercises help us create balance so that we still use technology for good, but it's not having detrimental effects to our mind or our bodies.
Playfulness, I think, it's an approach, it's an attitude of mind. There's all sorts of evidence that would suggest that a more playful approach is indicative of a better environment, a more secure environment, a less stressful environment. So in a way it's important to develop it, but also in a way it's important to nurture it. It also contributes to creativity and helps promote creativity. And going forward, the skills we need in society are things that can't be replicated by machines. So one of those things is caring for people, and one of the things is creativity. And those two elements are things that maybe will remain the domain of the human, and the other things that are more easily repeated or replicated can be picked up by machines.